We're back. And I look so scholarly. Welcome back to the last video. Why am I being so awkward? I know my last video was a little bit chaotic and it was mostly just me being drunk in the streets of Nashville with like a sprinkle of thrifting in there. So I wanted today's video to be a little bit more chill, a little bit more one-on-one, if you will. And I asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions. I feel like I'm so low. I asked on Instagram if you guys had any questions so that I could yap and answer and talk about whatnot, talk about reselling, talk about beavers, whatever. And you guys did. You did exactly what I told you to do, and you asked me some questions. So I'm going to be answering those today, and also just talking a little bit more about me and about whatnot. And if that interests you, strap in and strap on, baby. Let's go. The first question is, how did you first get into vintage clothing and upcycling? Was it a long process? So for those of you who don't know, I actually did start as just a vintage reseller on Depop back in the day. It was actually pre-COVID. And I started selling vintage because I already loved thrifting, and I was just feeling, I don't know, I call it my quarter life crisis, because I was like 24, 25, and just feeling like I was not in alignment with what I wanted to do with my life. And I've always dreamt of like working for myself, having my own business. I've always, like, ever since I was little, tried to start little mini businesses. Sold lots of different things that I've made, things that I haven't made. Like, the entrepreneurial sounds like an actual sexual transmitted disease. The entrepreneur spirit in me, and so I knew I needed to take advantage of it. And yeah, so I started selling vintage, and then from there it kind of shut things down. I was living in Australia at the time, and I had to move back home to the US, so just everything kind of got paused on the Depop journey. So I stopped selling vintage. I actually got a real job again. I moved into this place. I kind of like shifted my life and uprooted myself, so I wasn't really able to focus on my dreams. I kind of had to put that on the back burner, but it was definitely still there. And it wasn't until about 3 years living here and working in the job I was doing, I just still had that itch, you know. I still felt like I still want to run my own business. I still want to do this. Like, I love clothes. I love styling, making clothes. And so, yeah, I decided to dive back into Depop. So again, at this time, I was not actually upcycling anything. I was just reselling, thrifting to resell. And I wasn't making enough money to like leave my job. I was just basically doing it on the side. I would do experimental upcycles for myself, but I never imagined that like anyone else would want to buy them. So I kind of just kept that part of the business for me. And it wasn't until like Whatnot came about that really changed the game for me and made it like actually possible to do this full time. So about 2 years into doing Whatnot, I was able to quit my jobs completely, because I had like 3 different jobs at the time. Was able to quit them, dive fully into reselling. And yeah, after that, the process of like transitioning that to upcycling and so on and so forth, but I won't bore you guys forever. But yeah, I would say in total did it take a long time, from 2019 to 2026. I didn't start doing this full time until about 3 years ago, so that's like a 4-year process. So it definitely did take a long time, but I did take a pause there to kind of reset, center my life, ground myself here, got my first place of my own. I think if I would have kept at the vintage and like not gone back to work or whatever, maybe it would have happened faster, but that was just the timing for me. And if you're thinking about, it doesn't even have to be vintage, but any sort of business that you want to go into and dive into, it doesn't have to happen overnight. I think that's a common misconception that if you want to work for yourself, if you have a dream, like you have to make it happen, like you have to give up everything and do it overnight. I don't think that that's always the way to go. Sometimes, yeah, taking a risk is good, but take little steps, like take less hours at work to focus on your dream. You know, take small steps that don't feel so overwhelming, and don't put such a pressure on your business to succeed, because sometimes if you put too much pressure on something, it almost takes the fun out of it. And you have to remember, welcome to my cat circus where they make everything about them. You have to remember why you fell in love with that thing to begin with. And if you put so much pressure on it to like pay all your bills, to handle everything right in the beginning, it just puts a lot of pressure, and it'll take the fun out of it, and it'll make things even harder for you. So whatever small steps you can take, try to take them. But it's always worth it to invest in yourself and invest in the life that you want to live. What is your favorite way to get yourself remotivated after a burnout? This is very relevant because I just finished a burnout. Consider me burnt on the stove. Consider me a crispy muffin, a piece of bacon, a piece of toast left in the toaster for way too long. Burnt in more ways than one. And to be honest, the easiest way that I kind of got myself out of that burnout, like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm probably not fully out of it completely, but I did take a vacation, but also a mental vacation. I did not go on Whatnot. I took some time off of Instagram. If you are not familiar with Whatnot, by the way, I feel like most of you that subscribe to me on here are Whatnot people, but Whatnot is the app that I sell on, basically my workplace. So not only does all my money come from Whatnot, it's a live auction selling marketplace. This is not an ad for Whatnot, but you should go check it out if you don't know what Whatnot is. But it's a live selling marketplace, and it's also literally the office. It is my version of the office. It is where all my coworkers are. It's where I have to go to do market research. It's where I make my money. It's where I sell my items. So it's a very important app, but it's also very draining app if you spend too much time on it. And I feel like I was in a place of spending too much time on social media and too much time in that workplace to where like that is all that I was consuming. And it gets easy to like compare yourself to others. It gets easy to overthink things. It gets easy to just like lock in and spend so much time on the phone that you don't even realize like how ungrounded you are. And I feel like for me, I really needed to kind of take a step back and be like, even though this is my provider and like very important, and the community is very important on here, I also need to like reconnect with me and reconnect with like nature and like literally touch grass, because yeah, I was just spending so much time on my phone, on Whatnot, watching other people's shows, and I was getting into a place of like self-comparison, if you will. And I'm sure maybe some of you guys have struggled with this as well, but it's just easy to compare yourself to others, compare your success to others, compare prices of things being sold, and you know, it just, you get into your head, and it's not a great place to be. So I feel like for me to reduce that burnout, I kind of had to remove myself. I literally hid the app on my phone, which you can do. Had to do that. I had to kind of just step away and do a little forced detox. I was also away in the mountains, so I was like experiencing a lot of nature, experiencing a lot of quiet, and I feel like that really helped me a lot. So if you're experiencing burnout, or if you are just like at a point, well, it doesn't matter what you do, all of us get burnt out. Doesn't matter if you're your own boss, doesn't matter if you work at Target, like literally every one of us experiences burnout. So it's a lot of like reconnecting with the earth, like going outside, touching grass, taking time away from your phone, doing something for you. Like I also go to boxing, yoga, like I try to like do activities that are really good for me physically and that I enjoy doing. And these are all just like really good ways to kind of reconnect with self, because I feel like that is the most important part. So take care of you. Sorry. Or you will be the burnt piece of toast in the toaster, and none of us need that. It's a random one, I love it. What's your favorite type of gift to receive, like physical gifts? To be honest, I'm not a gift person. That's not one of my main love languages. Like, don't get me wrong, I will accept a gift all day. I think my favorite is like when someone goes somewhere on a trip and they bring me back a little memorabilia, like a fridge magnet or a coffee mug. I fucking love to receive a coffee mug, actually. That might be the answer. I fucking love a coffee mug. Yeah, like any sort of like memorabilia of someone's trip, because I say I don't get a lot of gifts for people, like unless it's a holiday, but I like handmade gifts or like travel memorabilia gifts, because those are the kinds that I give. I give a lot of handmade gifts, or like I'll get you a souvenir from like where I travel. Those are the most I give, so that's the kind I like to receive. Next question is best advice for someone trying to start reselling or trying to do Whatnot. So again, Whatnot is the app that I sell on. My best advice, and you may have heard this if you guys had subscribed to my Patreon before this, this is literally like beating a dead horse. I don't know if that was the right term, but merge yourself into the community first. Like that is number one, first priority. Like you gotta make friends, you gotta like talk to people, go into other people's shows. It doesn't mean you have to buy anything, but just like meeting people and creating a sense of community and like immersing yourself in the community. Whatnot is a very community-based app, and you just have to like dive in and be willing to like socialize and open yourself up to new experiences in people's shows, in the chat, like showing your personality, telling a story, like obviously all authentic interactions, but I think people just like forget how important it is to like fully immerse yourself into that community, because then those people are going to show up for your shows. And I feel like a lot of people come onto the app thinking that they don't need to do any sort of socializing and then get bummed when no one comes to their show, but it's just how it works. You definitely can be successful without socializing, but in order to like stay successful and like keep that momentum going, you have to have some sort of like community aspect. So definitely getting yourself involved, going to other people's shows, just like observing before you even go live. Like go watch other people's shows, see what works, see what doesn't, see what you want to bring to the table that's like maybe a little bit different. Don't compare yourself to anyone else. I know I just said I'm literally still guilty of this, but you don't need to be anyone but yourself, you know? So just figure out what that looks like for you and what your little niche is going to be, because everyone brings something a little bit different to the table. And the most successful people on the app are the people that like have something that works for them and they just kind of like roll with that, and like they've figured out their niche. Like what is your niche? Talking about mugs, this Vegas mug with like the extra little, isn't that cute? Wait, thumbnail? I just want to make the video and upload it, okay? So if there's zero fluff or editing, like just ride with me, okay? Let me be a simple bitch. I asked, how do I get the courage to quit corp and be full-time creative because FML? I feel like that kind of ties into what I answered earlier. Just like slowly doing it, find out what you're passionate about and slowly making the moves to get there. It's not an overnight thing. I think it's just spending a few hours a day or week, whatever you can commit to on your dream, and it will slowly build itself and doors will start to open. Like it is about taking the time to think and be like, what do I want to do? Like what does my dream life look like? Because we really need to sit with that for ourselves. I feel like it's really easy to just get caught up in the rat race and paying bills and like to just be stable and stable and stable, but like what brings you joy? Like I challenge anyone to watch this, even for like what are the days that bring you the most joy? Like what are the activities that bring you joy? When do you feel most like yourself? And then sit with these questions and be like, okay, how do I create an income from that? And for me it was like creating and traveling and thrifting and like talking to people, being in part of a community, and I kind of like figured out how to merge all of them. Obviously I'm not perfect and I'm still figuring out a lot, but it's like, what do you want your everyday to look like? When do you feel fulfilled and when do you feel like you are most at peace with yourself? Because even though I experienced burnout and even though it's a lot of work, like the ability to be home with my cats, to create my own schedule, to be able to travel for work, to be able to create with my hands and like bring it to people and have that bring them joy, like it brings me more fulfillment than anything I could have asked for. And I feel like the only reason I got there is because I had to have some really hard conversations with myself where I was just like, when do you feel the most you? When do you feel the most at peace? Like, are you dreading waking up every single day and going to your job? Because if that's the case, like you don't have to do that job anymore. There are so many options, and I feel like it's so easy in today's society to think that you're just like stuck with something and you are just forced to do what you're doing, and that's just life. But it doesn't have to be. It does not have to be. And it doesn't mean that vintage reselling is for everyone, but like, what is your thing that you love doing? What brings you joy, and how can you make an income out of that? And then take the small steps to get there. Oh my God, I'm out of breath. How do you come up with your beautiful, unique designs? Is it pre-planned? And what is your favorite thing to create? So I don't make any patterns, and I rarely have a plan. I have never used a pattern or like a preset design or anything. A lot of people do, and it works great for them. But for me personally, I go out and thrift, and I let whatever I find be the inspiration for the piece. So that's why each of my collections is very different, and I genuinely do not know what I'm gonna make until I find the material, and then an idea will come into my head. Like I have books and books of like sketches and designs from when I was a kid, but I don't do that anymore. It's hard for me to like sit and draw something up and then create it. I just mostly work on like an inspiration basis where I'll just start playing with a material that I found, and then the piece comes out of it. I never really know what I'm making until it's literally happening in front of me. I've just learned this is the best way that I work, and sometimes it's hard because I won't make a certain type of thing for weeks, even though like it sells really well and people really want more. Like for some reason I can't get myself to like continually repeat the same design. There's a few things like with leather that I have made like multiples of, but mostly everything is one of one, and even if it has a similar concept, they're all very different because I just like roll with what materials I find and what I kind of can create with them. And I challenge, like, if anyone watching this is like trying to learn how to sew, is interested in upcycling, let your material be the inspiration. You for sure can like look up patterns and look up how-to videos for something, but I think that the best things are made when you just go into your creative process and let your inspiration come, as opposed to like trying to recreate something. Like obviously effort is encouraged and required, but the times that I have like looked at a Pinterest image or like looked at something and been like, I want to make that, those are the times the pieces have not come out that great, in my opinion. The best work I have done, and I guess this goes hand in hand with your question of like your favorite thing to create, are the pieces that kind of just happen. That like I get a material, I bring it home, I'm super excited, and something beautiful just like comes from it, and it doesn't happen until it's like already happening. That's why upcycle tutorials are really hard for me to make, or like anything like that, because it's hard for me to give a step-by-step process when I don't even know what I'm making until we're like halfway through. I do upcycle with me videos that are very like vlog style, a little bit chaotic, and you kind of just see the brain process, which I am gonna make one of those for you guys this week. That'll be my next video. You can kind of see like what it's like to upcycle with me and what it's like to be in my crazy little brain. For the most part, it's just like going off of what I find and what kind of comes about of it. Like for example, found a pair of leather chaps a few months ago. Gorgeous, genuine leather chaps. They had like lace-up details, little braided trim, and I was like, I saw them and I immediately saw like mini skirt. Like I want to transform these into a mini skirt. And this is the other thing that'll happen. Like that's my motivation as well. Like sometimes I will not be motivated to start creating something because I'm not really excited about the materials I have. I have a shed full of materials, but you could not pay me to touch any of that because like I'm not feeling inspired by that. But I will find something at the bins and need to come home like that day and make something with it because it excites me. So these chaps excited me. I immediately saw what I wanted to make when I found them. And I had never made a skirt from chaps before, so I didn't really know what I was doing. But it's probably one of the highest selling, like dollar-wise, pieces I've made. I think I started it at like $50 and it sold for like almost $400. So that was a cool moment because, you know, I think people saw the beauty in that too, and I was just like really excited about it to make it, and I was really excited while making it. I was excited with the process, final product, and everyone else loved it too, and that's why the bids went so high for her. Like, I would have never thought to make the type of skirt that I did if I hadn't found those chaps that like inspired me. So letting the materials be the inspiration and kind of just, it depends, I guess, if you're type A or type B. I am very much type B, so I just roll with the punches and I just like keep going, you know, and I don't need a plan. Some people work better with a pattern, with a plan, with a sketch. That's just never how I've been. So yeah, figure out what works for you, and that's my process. How would you describe your style, and what is your favorite thing to wear? Is a question I ask myself daily. I usually don't know the answer. I love fashion, and I love making these crazy outfits and pieces that are statement-like. But if I'm being honest, this is 90% of what I wear on a daily basis. Working from home has something to do with that, but I love a t-shirt. I love a tank top. I love a pair of denim shorts. I wear a lot of active wear, like, because I work out a lot, and I'm like, just my favorite thing to wear when I'm like out running errands. I am a very simple person when it comes to like what I'm wearing. When I go out though, like if there's a girls' night, if we're going to an event, a festival, like I put on the fit for sure. Put on the hot little top. I love a pair of like super low-rise pants. I love a mini skirt. I love a boot. Like, I have my Dior boot moments. Like, I can dress up for the occasion for sure. Like I do get really dressed up for the event. But these are my most worn shoes. High top Converse. My second most worn shoes, these UGG slides. They're my third because I wear them to boxing. I'm also an UGG bitch. Like, I just love comfort. I don't wear a lot of flashy things, so I don't even know. Adam Sandler / Tank Air tank tops, you guys. I'm their sponsor. Just kidding, I'm not. Please, Tank Air, if you're watching this, please sponsor me. But yeah, I would say that's my style. Very simple, very comfortable. I have a whole vintage t-shirt collection, so I'm constantly rotating through that. I love baby tees. Just very chill. I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, those are my favorite types of things to wear. I'm just very driven by comfort. But don't get me wrong, if there's a festival or Coachella or a night out, I'm putting on a fit. I think that's all for now. I feel like this video is already 30 minutes. That's plenty of my voice. I also have a whatnot show that I'm doing in like 20 minutes, so I should go get ready for that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you for subscribing, those of you who have already subscribed. This is very exciting. I'm very excited for this YouTube era. If you don't know, I did try to make a Patreon originally. Well, I did make a Patreon, and I uploaded for a few weeks, but it was the commitment and having people paying monthly that kind of put a strain on me, because I would just feel so guilty if I couldn't get a video out one week. And like, so much more my speed. I will put videos out when I feel like it. You guys don't have to pay. And I think just because of that, I will probably be uploading so much more often, because how I work is like, if there's no pressure involved, all of a sudden, like, I'm the most productive bitch. Like, I don't do well with like the pressure. So yeah, hopefully this video is interesting enough. If you have more questions, leave them below, because I will do another one of these when I have more time, because there's a couple questions I did not get to. And yeah, the next video is going to be an upcycle with me, so it's going to be like a vlog style, but I'm going to kind of show you my process, and we're going to like start from beginning to end with a piece, and very exciting things. Also, let me know what kind of videos you want to see. I know there's not that many of us here yet. If you have a type of video you want to see from me, let me know. I'm down to do whatever. This is a new YouTube era. Though, like I said, I don't want to do anything that involves a bunch of editing, because guess what? I will not fucking post it. Okay, I'm gonna go get ready for my whatnot show. I love you guys, and see you in my next video. Okay, bye.